Good morning, my friends. My name is Lama Jigme Gyatso, but in a pinch, you can call me Jig. Welcome to Meditative Musings. And today, I want to explore incendiary speech patterns. It's been my experience that the two pillars of Buddha's wisdom teachings were impermanence and interdependence. We're going to explore interdependence right now. Everything is affected by everything, and everything affects everything. This applies, of course, universally and microscopically, galactically and partically or subpartically, but we're going to apply this to language. Some language is incendiary. Sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes we choose to be manipulative and select language designed to make someone lose their temper and perhaps reveal something they're trying to hide. Personally, I don't like being manipulative. My understanding of the Buddha's morality as he laid out in the Eightfold Path is really simple. And it's very non-violent. And sometimes when we are coercive or manipulative, to me, at this point in my life, that really strikes me as a form of violence. As I mentioned, sometimes we are deliberately coercive, other times we're spontaneously coercive. I'd like to give you two examples. There is a myth that if we say something that isn't accurate, it's a lie. No. A lie is a deliberate attempt to deceive by omission or commission, but the intention is deception. If we say something and we're incorrect, but we're sincere in our incorrectness, that's not deceit. That's just being incorrect. So the first word I want to explore is true. When we say something, when we tell someone that's not true, that's inferring that they're lying. However, if we say that's not as accurate as you think it is, we're inferring that they have honor and ethics. Now, we may be wrong. They might not have ethics. They may be deliberately lying to us. They may be deliberately lying to themselves. There's a passage in the Christian Bible that reads, love trusts all things. And now you can form a dichotomy and say love trusts all things, fear suspects all things. I think it can be useful to give the benefit of the doubt. And to tell someone it doesn't sound, that statement does not seem accurate based on some other information. And if they're interested, you can share the information. So what I've found is if someone is coming from a place of interest and intellectual integrity and curiosity, and you say, I'm not sure that's, as accurate as you think it is based on some other information, they'll ask you, please tell me that information. If someone just wants to fight you, they're in a highly combative mode, that's completely different. Again, in the Christian Bible, it reads, do not throw pearls before swine. Nothing wrong with swine. They just don't like pearls. They prefer berries. Likewise, if someone doesn't hunger for your wisdom, don't force feed them. Don't assault them with your wisdom, even if you're correct and they're incorrect, until they want it, until they require it, until they ask for it. Be respectful of their choice to be incorrect. Not necessarily of their choice to harm others, but their choice to hold a view divergent from your own. So the first word I wanted to share with you was true. It's very incendiary. The second word is wrong. Once again, I think it's much more empowering to tell someone, I think you're incorrect, or that sounds incorrect, or that seems incorrect, or that feels inaccurate, or I think you may be mistaken. That is completely different. When we tell someone you're wrong, there is this huge connotation about their moral place. You know, they're wrong, they're evil, they're bad. Now, they may be all those things, but there's a few times when telling someone that's not true and you're wrong ends well. Usually that's like adding gasoline to a fire. Spectacular to watch from a distance, but not at all safe up close. I'm a great big liberal. I'm very progressive in my personal politics. Not talking as the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Just as an individual, I'm very progressive. And I listen to a lot of YouTube videos. And when I hear, and I'm not fond of debates. And when I hear people debating and descending rapidly into venal, aggressive, ugly personal attacks, they will use incendiary language like wrong or language like true. And to make a sci-fi reference, it pushes people or escorts people rather rapidly to the dark side. And let's face it, as humans, we don't need help going to the dark side. We know the way by heart. So let's use language. Let's make a habit of using language designed not to push people's buttons. Let's try not to be manipulative. Let's try not to push people into rage or sorrow or fear. Nothing good comes from that type of manipulative tendency. Let's practice meditation in such an effective way that our mere presence has a cooling effect on people. Our mere presence has a centering effect on people. One of my heroes is the author and politician Upton Sinclair, who is famous for writing the book The Jungle about the meatpacking industry. I think it was in the late 1800s. Later, during his political career, he commented, and I paraphrase, "It is very difficult to get a man to understand something when his paycheck depends on him not understanding that. Cognitive dissonance is nothing new. Doing bad things for good reasons is nothing new, nor is doing bad things for good sounding reasons." Helping people walk away from the lies they've been taught or the lies they tell themselves is difficult. The question is, how do we do that non-violently? How do we, Nietzsche, once again I paraphrase, Nietzsche warned us that those who hunt monsters run the risk of becoming monsters. And not in the cool, fun, Joss Whedon, Buffy the Vampire Slayer sort of a way. And so how do we respect people, people's choice, people's feelings, while also non-apologetically embracing accuracy and logic and science and compassion and ethics. So here's this, the key to what Nietzsche taught, or one of the keys. If someone becomes a monster because they have completely lost sight of all vulnerability and all logic, and they're completely grabbing onto whatever their view is with white-knuckle intensity, if we take the same approach, we become very similar to them. It's been my experience thus far that true greatness of integrity comes from vulnerability. No genius was ever harmed from second-guessing or third-guessing or questioning everything he's ever experienced or been taught or any conclusion he's ever made. It's been my experience that the more vulnerable we are to our worldview, the more we can flow with honor and integrity. It's been my experience that no good comes from rigidity and aggression. Now, you can tell by my nose and my thick eyebrows that I'm a Semite, I'm a Jew, and my people were liberated by the Allied armies at the end of World War II from the prison camps of the Nazis. So part of me is real glad my descendants were liberated. I mean, not my descendants, my predecessors were liberated. But we look at the price America paid for its heroism during World War II. And it is undeniable by many, oh, I guess it is deniable, but many historians and many scholars feel that America is currently in the momentum of a very imperialistic practices, where we've got many wars or micro wars going on in many fronts simultaneously. Perhaps that is one of the prices that America has paid for its heroism in World War II. When I look at Lord of the Rings trilogy, it seems very strongly that our friend J.R.R. Tolkien was trying to show us the price of heroism. The protagonist was in the last reel of the last movie was completely different than he was in the first reel of the first movie. Now, I'm not saying what he did was bad, but it was a huge price he paid. And of course, all the cynics in the audience say, wait, that giant bird that rescued them from Mount Doom couldn't have taken him to Mount Doom? In other words, what if Frodo could have done what he did, throw the ring into the fires of Mount Doom, but a different way than he did, a less destructive way than he did? So my friends, what I'm telling you is that perhaps there is a way we can take a stand for ethics and science and compassion and integrity. Perhaps we can do it without turning us into the monsters that we're trying to fight. Perhaps we can do it from a centered, spontaneous, compassionate way that doesn't confuse decency with weakness. I've given you much food for thought with little answers other than avoid the two incendiary words of wrong and true. I want to remind you that if you below the video there's a phrase that reads show more. When you click that, you'll find a bunch of links to a bunch of free stuff knock yourself out, including the link that'll help you register for the next series of meditation classes that it will take place either live in person in Southern California or over a live webinar simulcast based upon where you live geographically. Anywho, may you and yours be healthy and happy. Bye-bye now.